This is going to be a quick video to review multiplying binomials. Now, this is something that you learned in Algebra 1, and some of you learned it using a method called FOIL. Some of you learned it using the boxes method. The boxes method is fine. I will say it's a little bit elementary. In other words, when you do it in a math class, it just seems like that was something you did in middle school, and we don't really do that in high school. Now, if you really like it, you can stick with it, and I will not judge you, but I'm just saying the thing about it is it takes a lot of time. You have to set up the box, you have to put the stuff in the box, you have to multiply it, and you have to take stuff out, and it just takes a while. The method of foiling is a good method. I typically call it double distribution because that explains it a little more than what foiling does. By double distributing, you are doing FOIL, but you are distributing this first term times the two terms in the other parentheses, and you're also distributing this term times those two terms in the other parentheses. And so that's the method that I do. The more shortcuts you can take, the easier it's going to be for you, just because a lot of times, as you know, with a test, you only have a certain amount of time and you want to get through as much as you can get through. So let's just go ahead and start in on this. So if I start out, I typically start off with the first term, which is the n in this case. I multiply it by the first term and the other one. That's my n squared. I then distribute this and I get 2n. I distribute here and I get 5n. And finally, I get 10. And now I just need to make sure that I add my like terms. And so that is n squared plus 7n plus 10. That is how you double distribute, or you multiply binomials. That's what we do. You could do that in a box. It's just, I think it's a lot easier to do it just straight across like this. That one was a really basic one. It didn't have any leading coefficients, didn't have any negative signs. This next one jumps a little bit more complex, not much, but with a negative sign. But I'm going to follow the same method. And so if you want, you could pause it here and try this one on your own. Okay, you should get y squared minus 3y minus 28. The only new thing about this one was paying attention to those negative signs, making sure you have all that correct. Let's look at number 3. Again, just a little bit more complex because it has the leading coefficients. And so just to remind you, when we do that, we multiply, we're going to get that first term is going to be 6c squared because you multiply the 2 and the 3, and of course you multiply the c's. Now I'm going to multiply it by the next one, and I'm going to get minus 18c. And then my inside terms is going to be 5 times 3, that's 15c, and my last term is going to be minus 40. And now you just have to add your like terms. And so when I add my like terms, I get 6c squared minus 3c minus 40. These next three are special cases. There is a rule, some patterns that you could follow to multiply these. For today, I'm just going to multiply them like I multiplied these. There's nothing really different about them. Now, like I said, there are these rules and these patterns that you can follow that makes it a little bit shorter for you even still. But for today, let's just multiply them out. And what I mean by this is this has a square on it. That just means v plus 3 times v plus 3, because squared means multiply by itself. So now I have it set up where I can just go ahead and, like I said, multiply it out the same way I would. And so I get v squared plus 3v plus 3v plus 9. The slightly unique thing here is that those middle two terms are the same exact thing. And so, but I just add them together like I would normally, and I get a 6v, and then I'm done with that problem. Number 5, again, I'm just going to multiply it out the same way I've been multiplying all these. So I'm going to take a second to do that first step. And then again, the unique thing here is my middle two terms, they look the same, but look, one of them's minus and one of them's plus. So they're not really the same. So when I add those together, negative 5x plus 5x is 0. And so my final answer is just going to be x squared minus 25. All right, the last problem, once again, a little bit different because it has leading coefficients, but not a huge deal. It is a perfect square, so we can write it this way. If you know the rule, the pattern, you can just follow that pattern. Let's go ahead and take a second to multiply this out. I'm going to do the first step, and then we'll pause and take a look at it. Okay, so we get 4w squared minus 7w minus 7w plus 49. Pay attention to your negative signs. I'm going to combine these, and my middle two terms can be combined. They're both negative, so they don't drop off. It's going to give you a minus 14w in the middle. So you get 4w squared minus 14w plus 49, and that is your final answer. So that is just a quick review on how to multiply binomials. We will work on it in class a little bit, but this is something that's a pretty basic concept, and so if you need more help, you might need to come in after school or before school or during seminar to get some help on this.